We have won the die roll again, as per usual. And I do love this hand. I always think it's keepable on the play, but gonna have to mulligan it. This is a bit more balanced. We'll definitely keep that on top. The Inspector gadget is a bit of a freebie. Having just a random body that can jump block for your planeswalkers is like kind of perfect. So Evolving Wilds could be the Bant Company deck. And if it is likely that I'll want to save my Hangarback Walker to be played in the same turn as the Avacyn. Evolving Wilds for Island has to be Bant Company. Oh, never mind. So this could be like one of the Esper control lists. And if it is one of the Esper control lists, then there's not really any need for me to save my Hangarback Walker. So I will likely just run it out here, even though it is awfully small. This is pretty weak pressure, but it is a little inconvenient for my opponent to deal with. On the one hand, Hangarback Walker, once it's dead, it'll basically just come back to life. And my Thraben Inspector cantrips, so this is a matchup where I don't really win by curving out, but I do generate a lot of momentum. And that's like what is good about it. So Evolutionary Leap is actually going to be pretty good. I almost want to attack with both, but I think I would like to keep the option to level up the Hangarback Walker if my opponent tries to kill it. Also would like to draw a card off that clue, but I think the Evolutionary Leap is a little more important to get on the table. Inspector's probably done his job. Another Hangarback. So obviously now I wish I had attacked the Hangarback Walker. One thing that's interesting that a lot of people don't know is these clues are artifacts that you can target. Like, you can Anguished Unmaking a clue. Also, when you Tragic Arrogance, you gotta look at these as artifacts. Which is kind of sweet, because if there's a Hangarback Walker and a clue, you can choose the clue and let the Hangarback Walker die. So I certainly have to dig for my land drop here. It's pretty bad that I haven't found it. Having one Hangarback Walker in your draw against a control deck, you know, maybe two, depending on how long the game goes, can be nice, but they're really impotent. I mean, this is literally a Lingering Souls that cost twice as much mana. So, bad. Really need this land. We're at the stage now where this isn't funny anymore. And a lot of times it can be better to level up my Hangarback on his turn, but my main concern right now is Languish, which is a sorcery speed. And with all of his mana open, if I use my Hangarback beforehand and he has a like Foul Tongue Invocation, he can sequence that right into a languish. So I can't imagine that this is going to happen. If it does, I have to imagine there's a good chance like Silumgar eats it or something. But we'll see. Well, the good news is because I've had so little pressure on my opponent, gaining 4 life at this stage of the game is pretty meaningless. So the Ojutai's command basically just cantripped. But here I have to worry about some sort of big dragon. Silumgar, is it Ojutai? Dark Petition. Wonder if he'll get like Virulent Plague or just Languish. We also just get a removal spell for Nissa. I suppose that's not out of the question either. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. Leveling it up doesn't really do anything. I like trying to push them to a 5/5 just so that they dodge Languish. Ooh, now that's great. That was certainly what I needed. So, plussing or minusing Nissa is an interesting question. Because my opponent has cards like Anguished Unmakings and whatnot, I think I'd rather just start putting Power and Toughness onto the board. Attacking. This also makes it so that Shambling Vent can't easily attack one of my Planeswalkers. Although, it obviously wouldn't be out of the question for him to just have a ultimate price for this Knight ally, and then use Shambling Vent to attack Nissa. Or, this would have worked for him too if he had a untapped mana source instead of Evolving Wilds. Now, things are a little worse for him. I can actually play my Archangel. My opponent cycled one Ojutai's command, and I have to imagine that there's other counterspells. So I certainly have to worry about my Archangel getting cast, but I don't want to main phase it for fear of a Languish, and okay, maybe I should have played the Hangarback Walkers. I think if I could take that turn over again, I would have done that. Yeah. Opponent's not really doing anything though. He hasn't played anything that will actually pull him ahead. Now, if this resolves, I think I'm safe to minus Nissa plus Gideon and attack. And if he has another Languish, well, he would need like Anguish Unmaking on my Hangarback Walker, untap Languish in order to Languish and use Shambling Vent to attack my Nissa. So it looks like my Nissa is actually going to be safe for yet another turn, which is pretty nice. And I just get to crash in for a bunch of damage. And now even if my opponent is something like Kalidas, I can plus my Gideon and then use Dromoka's command to have Gideon fight the Kalidas. Same goes for, well, I suppose if he has a Dragon Lord Silumgar, he'll probably just take my Gideon. But even if he has Dragon Lord Silumgar, then I might be able to just use Hangarback Walker to level up itself. Use one Dromoka's command to have him sacrifice an enchantment, make my Hangarback Walker a 5/5, and use the next Dromoka's command to fight. Make my Hangarback a 6/6, so it beats the Dragon Lord Silumgar. Sorin. Sorin's got a lot of work to do. I feel like the best my opponent could do is kill Gideon and Languish. That's like pretty decent, I guess. Fortunately, it's not that great. And oh, I just actually have my opponent dead. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. GG! So, this is essentially a battle of planeswalkers, except my opponent has a bunch of removal spells where I have a bunch of value creatures. So I think generally speaking, it's going to favor me pretty well. The only thing that's an issue is in like a pure top deck war, my opponent's planeswalkers are a little, like Sorin's really good because you can just draw it and then kill a Gideon or a Nissa. But if you're just playing on curve, a Gideon is going to be able to have a board presence that's going to be able to attack a Sorin. So the cards that I don't like in the matchup, even though Hangerbacks are such weak pressure, I think the things that I actually want to take out are just the basic 1-for-1s. So Anguish Unmaking is like a little scary with Stasis Snare, but I think going a little heavier on the tokens is going to be good. So the Evolutionary Leap and Secure the Waste can come in. Then actually these live through Languish. These 1/2 bodies are pretty irrelevant. The only permanent I saw was the Sorin. So if he's playing a list like what's his name, who top 8'd the PT, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. But there's one Pro Tour top 8 list that was basically all planeswalkers and Dromoka's command. Maybe I do actually. I suppose actually my opponent is pretty heavily taxed on Anguished Unmakings. So be able to get away with this. So this would mean my only 2 removal spells are Stasis Snare and Quarantine Field. But if it's going to be a battle purely about planeswalkers, then I'll be all set. But I am a little nervous if he just sideboards into Kalidas. I'm like screwed. Let's see how it goes. So with this configuration, my deck is essentially all offense and all engine. I have a very small amount of interaction. Fine with that. At least I think I'm fine with that. I already have enough land, so... I don't think it would be unreasonable for him to bring in Kalidas. It's not great, but it's not particularly bad either. Nice. And I would prefer to play Hangarback Walker here rather than Sylvan Advocate. If I can use my mana in reasonably constructive ways and simply wait a while to play my Sylvan Advocate and level up this Hangarback, that'll be pretty nice. If he wants to blow an Anguish on making on it, that's fine. And I think I'm just going to wait to play my threats. I don't really hit particularly hard, so curving out isn't actually that attractive. I do want to generate momentum, and I wish I had like a Planeswalker here. But I do want my permanents to be as inconvenient for my opponent to deal with as possible. And since I have the... Sure. There we go. And since I have the mana for Archangel on curve, I'm a little less worried about a Planeswalker popping up. And I knew I'd draw my own Planeswalker sometime soon. I just knew it. So now I get to start building up a little bit of momentum. My opponent has an Anguish on making. I have to imagine he's going to use it on this Nissa. Guess not. And I could just play my Archangel and then minus my Nissa. But I think I'm going to play things a bit more conservatively. I think I'm just going to keep plussing my Nissa. Don't really feel the need to do anything right now. It's not like I have to worry about my opponent playing Dig Through Time or Sphinx's Revelation. There's like Epiphany at the Drown Yard and that's it. But the worst thing you can do here is play like a Sorin. So do I want to play my Archangel here? I think I want to play my Archangel here. I think this is a good turn to play my Archangel. I assume that it's just going to die. But I do want to cast my spells. And if he taps low, I can minus my Nissa and attack for a bunch. If I hit my 6th land drop, I can play my Sylvan Advocate and not have to worry about Languish, which would be really nice too. There's also some value in infinitely plussing this Nissa. And I'm not that far away from ultimating her. But considering my opponent has Anguish on making and Sorin, I feel like that is an unlikely scenario. There could also be value in just holding my Archangel Avacyn to force my opponent to always keep his Ojutai's commands open. But I do have other cards that I want to cast, so Like if I draw a Gideon here, it's like insane. Jeez, and I drew a Gideon! Oh, so good. Oh man. So that was insane. Man. I I didn't know that that would happen. That was pretty insane. So now that we're here, do I want to minus my Nissa? All of a sudden, it looks a little bit more attractive to keep plussing this Nissa because it's going to be, um, it's pretty hard for Sorin at this point to kill Nissa. Two, three, four. I think I just want to minus my Nissa. It is close though. It's like really close. Still a little afraid of Dragon Lord Silumgar, to be honest. Even if he has a removal spell for this night, he's not going to be able to use Shambling Vent to kill my Nissa. So, that's pretty good. I have Stasis Snare for Dragon Lord Silumgar, but like if I take my Nissa all the way up to 7 and then he Dragon Lord Silumgars it, like that's definitely just game over. This is what we call GG. Languish? Could this be Languish? Languish would be good here. Languish is here. So pretty good line of play, but my opponent only has 2 cards in hand. And I still have like a fair amount of stuff for him to deal with. I think I just have like too much stuff for a control deck to really deal with. Between the Planeswalkers and the, I guess it's mostly Planeswalkers, but between like Planeswalkers and Avacyn, it just seems so hard. Not really good for my opponent. It's not really worth it for... So I wonder if my opponent has another sweeper here. He only has 1 card in hand. So he either has a removal spell for my Sylvan Advocate, or he has a Languish, one or the other. Whichever one he has, it's likely not to be quite good enough on its own. Seven mana. Oh, is this the big 5/5? Ooh. Well, that's going to take care of everything. But it will not kill my Nissa. God. That's a pretty good target for Stasis Snare. So that was a good move from my opponent. That lands a pretty decent draw for me because it means I can play the Sigharda and guarantee a little, at least a little bit of value at it. So certainly haymakers swinging back and forth. My opponent wipes the board, but I get to crack right back at him. I have to say, I really like seeing all these anticipates. I also feel awful that I'm blanking on the guy's name who plays. He like won Worlds. I used to play him on the SCG circuit a lot. Oh, that's good. Oh yeah. Now this is how you generate card advantage. It is not the control decks. Right here, my friend. We've got all the card advantage you need. Oh man, that's good. Avacyn? Oh, I would love one. I would love to draw an Avacyn. Don't even care if he attacks my Avacyn. Is this broken? Yes, it is broken. Restart. Alright, so we are back in action. TGO had a little fit. It's okay now. So these Planeswalkers plus this Evolutionary Leap are just like an insane card advantage engine, especially because the only creatures in my deck that you can get off Evolutionary Leap are Sylvan Advocate, Archangel Avacyn, and Hangarback Walker for the most part. I mean, there's good old Inspector Gadget too, but you know, there's sideboard cards. But... So this seems like my opponent's getting another planar outburst. But like, where does that even leave him? Nowhere. Okay, bounce my token. Like, what is my opponent doing? What does he think this is going to do? Well. Don't I just kill him? I think that I just kill him. Well, kids, don't play control decks. They're bad. Don't do it. Don't let your friends do it either. Good friends don't let their friends play control decks.